7 minutes. That's all it took to pull off one of the most audacious heists in modern history. We're talking about sheer brute force, perfect timing, and a mystery at the heart of it that still has experts scratching their heads. And it all went down at the world's most famous museum, the Louvre. So let's set the scene, right? It's October 19th, 2025. A totally normal morning at the Louvre. You've got tourists lining up, guards doing their rounds. Everything is just as it should be. And inside, in the incredible Galerie d'Apollon, the French crown jewels are just glittering. It's a completely ordinary day, but it's about to be shattered. 7 minutes. I mean, that is it. In less time than it probably takes you to brew a cup of coffee, a team of thieves pulled off this incredibly precise plan, smashed their way into the history books, and just vanished. And they took the very heart of France's royal heritage with them, all in just 7 minutes. So you've got to be asking, right? How? How on earth did they do it? Pulling off a heist in broad daylight at the Louvre of all places, the most famous and what we thought was one of the most secure museums in the world. Well, let's get into it. Okay, so their plan was this. Kind of brilliant mix of clever disguise and just raw power. It basically went down in 4 steps. First up, the disguise. You've got 4 thieves dressed up as construction workers. Super smart, right? It lets them get close without anyone batting an eye. Then, the entry. They didn't even bother with the ground floor. They went aerial, using a vehicle with a ladder to get straight to a second floor window. Total bypass of the main security. Third, the attack. Once they're in, there's no messing around. Power tools come out and they just obliterate the display cases. And finally, the grab. In just a few moments, they snatch up 8 priceless sets of jewels. Yeah, this was not a quiet, sneaky job at all. I mean, just look at the tools they used. We're talking industrial-grade stuff. Angle grinders, chainsaws, even a blowtorch. This crew wasn't trying to be quiet. They were all about speed and overwhelming force. They were ready to just plow through anything that got in their way. So they grabbed all this stuff, but to really get why this was such a huge deal, we have to look at what they actually took. Because these weren't just some shiny, expensive jewels. No way. These were literally pieces of French history. Irreplaceable pieces. I mean, the list of what they stole is like a roll call of French royalty. You've got pieces that were worn by Empress Eugenie and Queen Marie Amélie. There was a sapphire set from Queen Hortense, an emerald necklace from Empress Marie Louise. I mean, every single piece is this direct connection to the height of French history and culture. Just incredible. And you can really get a sense of how fast and chaotic their getaway was by what they dropped. In their hurry to get out, one of the thieves actually dropped the crown of Empress Eugenie. Can you imagine? It was just found lying there on the cobblestones outside, all damaged. Yeah, it was a huge clue for the police, but man, what a heartbreaking sight for a national treasure. But here, this is where the story gets really weird. It turns into a genuine mystery. Because for all the amazing stuff they took, it's what they didn't take that just makes no sense. There it was, sitting right there in plain sight, the Regent Diamond, one of the most famous, most perfect diamonds on the entire planet, and they just left it. They walked right by it. So why? I mean, that is literally the $60 million question. The Regent Diamond by itself is worth about $60 million bucks. To just ignore something like that, it tells you this wasn't just about the money. This was about something else entirely. Maybe it was personal. That one choice, to leave the diamond behind, it just sent shockwaves everywhere. Investigators were totally floored. So, okay, let's look at what happened next. The fallout was immediate, and a shocked nation kicked off one of the biggest manhunts you can imagine. The reaction from the top was, as you'd expect, fast and strong. President Macron put it in really stark terms. He said this wasn't just a robbery, it was an attack on France's heritage. And, that really nailed the feeling. The whole country felt like it had been violated. And he wasn't just talking. A huge investigation was launched right away. We're talking 60 of the best detectives in the country pulled onto this one case. Dozens of forensic experts swarmed to Louvre, going over every single inch of that crime scene. This was priority number 1, for sure. So pretty quickly, the investigation came down to 2 main theories. On one hand, you have your classic organized crime angle, right? A syndicate steals the jewels, breaks them all down, and sells off the loose stones. But then there's the other theory, something a little more out of a movie. Was this a theft to order? commissioned by some reclusive billionaire who just had to have these exact pieces for their own private collection. But as the police kept digging, something pretty embarrassing started to come out. The Louvre, this place we think of as a fortress for art, it had a major weakness. Officials had to come out and admit it. Huge parts of the museum just didn't have enough video surveillance. It created the perfect blind spot, and this team knew exactly how to use it. But the fallout from this wasn't just contained to France. Not at all. The fact that this raid was so bold and so successful, it sent a chill down the spine of every museum director on the planet. And it kicked off a really urgent conversation about security that, frankly, was probably long overdue. It's like the Louvre Heist created a whole new playbook for how to rob a museum. It put a giant spotlight on all these common problems, blind spots in the cameras, weak points in old historic buildings. And the scariest part? It proved that these super fast, super bold daylight raids could actually succeed. And that's really the lasting impact of this whole thing. This robbery was a massive wake-up call. It made every single major museum in the world look over its shoulder and ask a really scary question. Could we be next? It basically forced a global rethink of how we protect our shared history. So that leaves us with one last kind of unsettling thought to chew on. The Louvre. It's not just a museum, right? It's supposed to be a fortress for our culture. And if a team of thieves can just waltz in and out of there in 7 minutes, taking priceless history with them, then what really is safe and where?